Hello and welcome to Morecambe Modular, the ABC of Modular. For the letter G, I attempt to explore Emilie Gillet, gas, gates, glides and granular synthesis. So, on to Emilie Gillet. Emilie Gillet is the owner and designer of the incredible mutable instrument. Emilie is a true giant in the world of modular, starting designing her own sound machines using Arduinos. Her first synth, the Shruti, is a standalone desktop box that is beautifully complex through its simplicity, something that would become a hallmark of Emilie's designs. Emilie designed the Shruti to be a kit responding to people wanting to build this incredible sound source. She followed the design with the Ambika, a hybrid polysynth, and Anushri, a fully analog monosynth. Emilie is entirely self-taught. She learnt much of her programming and electronics from studying material online. In an interview, Emilie mentions that she moved away from providing DIY kits because of the demands upon her time, mainly to provide support. Something I need to bear in mind when I hassle designers to solve my build mistakes. So, Emilie began Mutable Instruments in 2009. The first manufacturer module was braids. I love braids, it's an incredible design. Even all these years later, it provides loads of digital oscillators with CV control over timbre, frequency. It's just beautiful. It has a voltage controlled amplifier, microtonal scales, and much, much more. Whilst many designers design oscillators, what is outstanding about Emilie is the fact that she gifted the code, some of the libraries, and the hardware designs to the community. In an interview with Darwin Gross, Emilie says that she didn't like the secrecy in companies developing software and hardware. She wanted people to collaborate. She also mentions that she was frustrated by limitations in closed systems, that she wanted people to overcome limitations of software and hardware. Emilie went on to design many modules. The list is incredible, and many of those modules are legendary, one of which I lusted over for years before building it. More on that in a bit when we get to the modular. Emilie's designs have been instrumental in the popularisation of eurorack. Designers have taken her inspiration by modifying code, expanding on functionality, cloning her designs. I'm not sure all of these were intended, but the gift that Emilie gave the community must never be underestimated. In December 2022, Emilie announced her retirement from music technology. As founder, designer, engineer, and owner, that meant the end of Mutable Instruments. Whilst Emilie is sorely missed, I hope she's loving life. Her designs live on, still being worked on by passionate community, inspired by Emilie. So, just in case you're watching this, Emilie, thank you. Thank you for everything you did for music and technology. And now for something completely different. Gas. Gas in Eurorack and music technology generally is the curse of gear acquisition syndrome. This is the financially crippling addiction that results in needing that bit of gear, that synth, that MIDI controller, those monitor speakers, and that guitar, and so on. This can have an impact on relationships, finances, and work. In short, the desire for this or that piece of kit overtakes the sensible part of the brain. I am, of course, one of the many, many sufferers. Neat segue into Eurorack, a result of gas for the last 7 years. Onto gates. A gate allows voltage to go through, just like a gate in your garden. A closed gate is a low voltage, an open gate is a voltage above a certain threshold. For instance, a closed gate might be anything below 1 volt, and an open gate might be anything above 1 volt. Or to put it another way, gates send on-off signals, a longer gate stays on for longer. Gates are used commonly to open and close voltage controlled amplifiers. So enough of this, let's go to the Eurorack and see what we can do. Okay, this has been an absolute nightmare to film this. I've tried and failed many, many times to get this right. And I apologise for the delay. I've had some real problems with audio cards, problem with cameras, all sorts of things. So massive apologies. I've also been working away, which has been kind of hard. But anyway, part 2 of this video is about gates and glides. And all I've got set up here is the BeatStep Pro triggering and giving note information through to the algo, the RYK algo, and then that's just going through to the audio out. There's a gate here going into the frequency central Semvelope, which is an envelope generator basically, and it just takes a bit of the harshness off the digital oscillator. Otherwise, you get like a clicking. So, in simple terms, a gate is a note on, note off information, but you can use it for other things as well. You can use it to trigger things in the eurorack. In this case, all I've done is I've wired it up to the BeatStep Pro, which is out of shot, and I apologise for that. But when I press on the key, we get note on information, and the gate goes high. I'll put an animation on screen. So when I press the note, gate goes high, note goes on. Simple as that. And then obviously what you can do is you can send a sequence. So I've got a prepared sequence. If I press play, it'll start playing. And at the moment, the BeatStep Pro is sending tide notes. And that's because I recorded it live, but I can change that. So if I change those gates, we'll start to get a difference. So now you've got dirt, dirt. We'll do the same on step 13, eh? And then if I put the other two notes in that I've kind of pre-programmed to be slides, you'll hear a glide between the notes. I've got another note. And all that glide's doing is taking the edge off the gate on or gate off signal. It's as simple as that. It kind of turns it into a slope instead of a hard line. Again, I'll pop an animation on the screen. So there we go. That's gates and glides. But we can also do this without something like the BeatStep Pro. Down here we've got a sample and hold. Pretty much any sample and hold with a slew limiter will do the job. I could also do a slew limiter on the Bifaco Rampage, but I'll show you on the sample and hold. It's really common to have a sample and hold in your system. So we'll just change things around a little bit. So instead of taking the gate signal from the BeatStep Pro, we'll take it from this module up here, which is the free modular clock. Really good little module, this. And it just allows us to send a clock. So now it's just sending a regular clock. The great thing with this though is we can change the length of those gates. So if I go into the menu, I can change the pulse of this gate and make it much shorter. But I can also make it much longer. Okay. The other thing we can do with this, which is really nice, is we can change the tempo. And we can change the swing. And we're still getting the note information from the BeatStep Pro, but the gate information, the on-off information is coming from this. Now, that's okay, but how would we get a slide? And that's a little bit harder. To get a kind of slide, we need to get another clock into our sample and hold, which would be a slightly different rhythm because I haven't offset that one the same way. And if I was to take the output from the sample and hold, pop it into an attenuator, otherwise it's going to be uncontrolled, it's going to be all over the place. And instead of getting the note information from the BeatStep Pro, I'm now going to get the note information from the sample and hold. And it's not quantized, so it won't be to a scale. And there we go. And then if I want to get the notes to slide and glide, again, I can use this slew control. There we go. And there we go. There's gates and glides. Simple as that. So I'll pull these out and let's do something a little bit different. So the other thing I wanted to look at and have an experiment with was granular synthesis. So we've got a note going there, and the lovely algo, we can fold it. Such a great module. I think what would be fun is if we took a low frequency oscillator, an LFO, and we modulate some of that. What should we have? Because it's just great. In fact, let's take another one. I'm feeling good about this. I'll put it into a fold. Because it's just great. Listen to that. Don't know what that'd sound like with a gate. I've got a gate. Right. Pre-prepared gate. Let's find out. Not bad. Got a bit of that harshness because of the digital nature of the oscillator. You can take that out by using a I kind of preferred the beat we were getting from the clock, actually. Yeah, that's better. So, what I'm going to do is the frequency central strips, which is a mixer, has got a really great function, and it allows us to take a send and send the signal into a different module, and then a return, and we can mix in the amount of that effect that we want. So I'll turn it down for starters. So this is the send, and this is going into this module, which is a monsoon, and that's I don't want to say a copy, but it's a clone, and then a slight change on the original Mutable Instruments Clouds, which is a fantastic module. And I've wanted a Clouds for years and years and years, and eventually I managed to save up enough money and build myself an imitation of the Clouds. The Monsoon's got some extra features though. It's got a lot of inputs that allow us to do control voltage over it, and it's a very cool module. I don't profess to understand it, but it does bring us to our next G for the day, and this G is going to be granular synthesis. I have another little module that does granular synthesis, which is a ginkgo synthese. I don't know how to say it, but ginkgo synthese grains, but it's not in the rack at the moment, so we'll have a go with this. So the great thing about the Monsoon is we can actually bring in textures. So at the moment there's no signal going through to it at all, but if I turn the FX up, you can see a light starting to move on it, and then if I bring that signal back in, we've got a fantastic reverb. So in its most basic form, the Clouds or the Monsoon will do big reverbs, and I can turn it right up. And it can get even more mad when you turn up the feedback. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful module for adding texture to a drone or a sound or music. And that's one thing, but the other G for today is granular synthesis. So what we can do is we can sample that sound. So if I press this button, it's now sampled. I'll turn off our incoming signal, and what you're listening to now is just the wet signal. So you've just got the signal as it's paused and recorded. I think I'm going to lose it actually. I might need to do that again. Let's try that again. I need to hit it on a note, so what I might do is make it longer. I think it's worked before. So, with the granular synthesizer, what we can do is use these slides to break up the signal and position it in kind of virtual space. So this slider positions it. This slider changes the density. This slider changes the size of those grains. And then this one changes the texture and shape, a bit like an envelope. And then of course, because it's modular, we can actually trigger it and play it. So if I put a trigger in, now that's being triggered in time. We could put the voltage per octave that we had before from our sample and hold. But that's attenuated because that's way too much. And then of course we could use whatever we wanted to change that sound. So let's use the low frequency oscillator that we had before. And we'll put that into position. Make another oscillator, low frequency oscillator. We'll put that into size. That's changing the size of the texture. Sorry, no, it's doing the density. And we'll do another one. And we'll change the size. The last one is the shape. The shape of the thing. And it's just mad. How mad is that? These become attenuated, so you can change them. Maybe we could feed our original signal back in as well. And then we can change very nature. And there we go. That's granular synthesis. Well, kind of. Obviously, you could use any sample. So if you have a sample player, you can break that signal up. So I could use a sample from here, play it into there, and break that up and change it. And all it's doing is spreading out little tiny particles of sound or grains of sound in a virtual space, and then playing them back. And of course, it can be quite horrible. Oh. If I take freeze off, it'll then be more in tune with itself. And it'll just add texture. You can change the frequency as well, so you can bring it up octaves or even right down into kind of sub-octave zones. Mad, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I apologise for the long delay on this video. I have had some real issues making this video. Hopefully the audio will have recorded properly and I'll be able to sync it to the video and we'll have another go. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you're safe and I wish you peace and safety. Thanks again. Take care. Bye.